guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back for another video. I'm back here again today filming another kind of story time. I actually filmed my Hollister, the truth about working at Hollister, why I quit video, and I think it kind of went down quite well. I know that Shane Dawson's recent conspiracy series kind of discussed a lot of the issues that I actually spoke about in my video, which was such a weird coincidence because I honestly filmed that before I even saw that, so it was all very strange. But yeah, I think you guys enjoyed that, and a lot of you were saying do more story times. I don't have 101 crazy stories, but I have a few. I have a couple. I think everyone has a couple. As you can see from the title, this is going to be a different one for my channel. Just before we get into the video, if you're not already subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you could go down there, hit subscribe, turn the bell on, so you will be notified when I next upload. And also, if you want to check me out on Instagram, my username on Instagram is just Georgiamay_XOXO. And yeah, that's about it. Let's just dive straight into the story. So I'm going to be eating some cookies while we're filming because I love these cookies from M&S. They are like the way to my heart. Honestly, I'm obsessed. So, as you guys can see from the title, today's video is definitely more of a kind of dark one, I guess you could say. Although I kind of like to laugh at it because, if I'm honest, and I don't want to spoil the story for you guys, but it didn't end badly. Everyone's good and well, and we were all okay. So yes, I just want to preface this by saying this is in no way to kind of like demean or belittle people's stories of like serious robbery or burglary or theft. Not at all. This is just what happened to me and my friends, and just kind of like our story, and it's all very light-hearted, so not intended to upset anyone in any way. But yeah, I know some people can, obviously it can be a bit of a traumatic experience, so if you've had something like this and it kind of triggers you a little bit, then probably don't watch this video. So I will start out by giving you guys a bit of context, because that's where, you know, a long rambly story always starts, is with context. So basically, me and my friends had moved into our second year university flat. We were living in Nottingham at this point, in a gorgeous university flat. Let's just say it was really, really nice. We were really lucky. We got one of the really good houses in that kind of area, in the Lenton area. If any of you know, then you know. Definitely kind of like a uni area. And I was living there with a few other girls. It was a 3-floor house property. So it had 2 bedrooms on the top, 3 in the middle, and 1 bedroom on the ground floor. And then obviously our living and kitchen area. And we'd been living there for quite a while, I believe, when this actually happened. Because I want to say, yeah, I know we'd been there a little while, definitely. It wasn't like first week or something like that. We'd been in the house a bit. So me and my friends had gone on a night out, and if any of you guys know Nottingham or even university towns, they are a bit of a target. They're a bit of a hotspot for kind of like burglaries and theft, just because I think people are aware that students tend to have a little bit of extra money floating around. I mean, you're getting a loan quite regularly. You know, a lot of us were very lucky. We had nice laptops and things like that. So I think they're known for being quite a targeted area, because if you break into a house that has, you know, 6 girls in there or 6 boys in there, or a mixed house or whatever it is, you know, you might be getting your hands on 6 laptops, 6 phones, maybe a couple cameras. You know, that's a lot of nice stuff. So I know that they were a bit of a target, but we were always quite sensible. We always left the light on in the hallway. We would always kind of make out someone was in the house if we went out anywhere, and we were just quite switched on. I mean, I had friends that literally had phones stolen out of their hands from leaning into cars, giving people directions. I had a friend whose car was stolen and driven into the River Trent. Horrendous story, and just awful. Then I had friends whose houses were just broken into. I had people whose laptops were stolen with their dissertations on. So yeah, if you're at uni, just please be careful with your stuff. Please lock your door, please lock your bedroom door, you know, just be careful, because it honestly can just happen to anyone, and it's just luck and chance, if I'm honest with you. Myself and my 2 good friends had gone on a night out. We had all got a little tipsy. Let's just say we'd got a little bit tipsy. I mean, we probably got quite drunk, but I'm just going to go with the word tipsy, you know. And we'd come in from this night out and we were cooking in the kitchen. This was kind of a regular occurrence for me and my friends. We like to cook after a night out. I don't know why. My friend was cooking tomato pasta and I was cooking salmon. Grilled salmon with a pesto like sauce and like sun-dried tomatoes. I remember it well because it actually made me a bit ill because I hadn't cooked the salmon properly. Do not cook salmon after a night out. Like, what was I thinking? So I'm kind of grilling this salmon and, you know, and I think maybe the scent of the salmon kind of set her off. My friend was like, I feel sick, I'm gonna be sick. And I was like, well, you're not gonna be sick anywhere near my food. Open the back door, and we had a back door that had our recycling bins in, just because then we wouldn't have to walk around to the front of the house. We just had them like by the kitchen in the back door. So I was like, open the back door and like stick your head in that bin because you're not throwing up in this kitchen. So my friend was being sick or whatever outside, or I don't know if she just like had her head in the bin or what was kind of going on, but the back door was then obviously opened. Now, just to give you guys an idea of the layout of the house, a lot of these houses that that are in Nottingham in Lenton area are terraced houses, so there's 2 houses either side. We were lucky enough to have a little garden area that was all pebbled and stoned, and then it had a fence around it and a gate that was always open really, and like a little walkway and a kind of like an alleyway that led on to a load of other houses. It's so frustrating that I can't show you what I'm talking about, but I think a lot of you will know what I mean. So it just had a little alleyway that would bring you out onto another road that was in the Lenton area. So the back door was opened. She was obviously not feeling great. Once she kind of felt a bit better, she sort of stumbled in and made her way upstairs, kind of walked upstairs. Me and my other friend were still in the kitchen. We sort of gathered together the stuff we had. I gathered my salmon and we just kind of walked upstairs. Now, I have never done something so stupid in my entire life. Left the back door wide open. We had a laptop on the glass table because we'd been using it before we'd gone on a night out for prees, and the back door was just basically wide open, and then obviously it led out onto this alleyway. Now, bearing in mind we'd been so loud in that kitchen, we'd been clanging around, bashing around, so I think at this point we're definitely drawing a little bit of attention to ourselves possibly. It wasn't as if the door was left open and we were all, you know, quiet as a mouse. We were loud, like the lights were on, you know, people knew that we were in the house, you would think. But if you were just a passerby in the local area at 3 in the morning and you saw, you know, a load of loud girls and then you saw they left their back door open, So yeah, so that was kind of the situation. We sort of wandered upstairs. Now, another little bit of info to give you guys. We had a few issues in our kitchen with the lights. One of the lights wasn't working, the one above the oven wasn't working. We were lazy, we were students, we weren't replacing the lights. I'm sure anyone that's a student can relate. You just live your life in a very different way to how you live it when you leave uni. So instead of replacing the lights in the light bulbs, we had dragged in some really kind of like large lamps from the living room. So dragged in a couple of these lamps. Some were on the glass table, some were on kind of the kitchen counters, and then we had a few just kind of like freestanding lamps, if you will. And they were all plugged in, so we had light in there before we'd gone on the night out for our prees. So all of this was still in the kitchen, we hadn't moved it back, you know. So me and my friend got upstairs, we're sat in my room, and my room was above the kitchen. So the window faced directly out onto like the garden. Now it was quite warm, so I had my bedroom window just open ajar. And me and my friend are sat there chatting, you know, talking away. We can hear walking on the gravel, because obviously it was all gravel outside, so we could hear someone walking on the gravel and like movement and like loud, like they weren't being quiet about it, there was someone there. So I remember this so well, even though we were both very drunk. I remember this. I remember just turning to my friend and going, I think there's someone in the garden. And bearing in mind, my friend is great, she's fab, but she's a tiny little thing, like she's like 5'1", 5'2", I'm sure she'll correct me in the comments. Tiny little thing, like, you know, not overly strong and overpowering, she's tiny. She was like, someone's in our garden. Literally, she just leapt up from my bed and was running down those stairs. And I was just kind of like dumbfounded. I mean, I don't know if adrenaline kicks in that situation or what, but she was running to the kitchen. So I kind of just followed suit. I mean, I was a little bit delayed. She had run, like leapt up and run, and I kind of like just followed after her. So I'm following her, running down the stairs. She'd run into the kitchen. Now, bearing in mind, this is what I hadn't known that she had seen, because I'm a little bit behind her. But those few seconds do make a difference. She had flung the door open to the kitchen. There was a man standing in our kitchen. Look, I don't know who he was, young, old. I think he was quite a young guy. I'm sure she will let me know in the comments, because I've kind of forgotten that part of the story, which seems ridiculous because that's kind of like the pinnacle of the story. But yes, there was a guy in the kitchen who'd obviously wandered in through the alleyway, seen we'd left the back door open, and just thought, wow, this is great, I can just stroll on in here and take what I will. And bearing in mind there was a laptop on the table. I mean, the fact that he didn't just pick the laptop up and run, I do not know why. I think he was probably startled that she had just like run into the kitchen. So he was standing in the kitchen. My friend Ree had run into the kitchen in the moment of like panic and chaos and mayhem, and I think him just being there, she kind of like shouted at him or whatever she said, and she picked up one of the freestanding lamps, swung it around her head to chuck it at him from across the kitchen, like, you know, get out of our kitchen and throw something at him, which I guess, you know, adrenaline, impulse, having a bit too much alcohol, you're probably going to do crazy things like this that you would never do if you were sober. But as she picks up the lamp and swings it behind her head, I then walk into the kitchen. Literally as she swung the lamp behind her. So as I walk into the kitchen, I am knocked out. As I literally walk in, I have no time to see what's going on or anything. Whacked on the head. I literally hit the ground. Luckily for me, as this had gone on, as I'd hit the floor and she'd hit me on the head with the lamp, the guy had just darted. The guy had just run off, legged it, out the back door, back down the alleyway. He had gone. Now, I do wonder if she would have chased after him if I wasn't lying on the ground. I don't think she would have. I think she would have been like, no, sensible Sally, I'm not going to chase after this crazy man. So instead, obviously, she turned around. I'm lying on the floor. I have been literally hit on the head. Like, I had like a bruise and a bit of a black eye around here for a few days, like after it had gone on or whatever, because it was like a proper solid lamp that she had hit me with. It wasn't like the lampshade, it was like the base of the lamp, you know, the lamp. And we actually had a friend who we were living with, and I can't remember if she was in the house or if she'd just come in from the night out, and she called up her boyfriend and he came around with some of his friends, and they all kind of like scanned the house and were looking under beds and stuff. You know, we'd all had a bit to drink. By this point, the guy had long gone. The guy had gone. Like, the drama had been done with and everything. He hadn't stolen anything, thank goodness. But I do remember vividly, we had nothing in the freezer. Like, we didn't have frozen peas or anything. We had like a loaf of frozen bread. And I remember one of these boys who was friends with my friend's boyfriend put this frozen bread on my head, and bearing in mind, every time I moved it away, all of my makeup was running down my face like black mascara. We were stressed, we were panicking, and I just vividly remember him going, you still look beautiful even with a loaf of frozen bread on your face. And I mean, it's so relevant to this story, that comment, but I don't know, it just, that line has always stayed with me. Like, it makes me laugh so much. It would remind me of like a movie moment or something. Like, the whole night was like a movie. Like, it was just so bizarre and surreal. So what a babe for saying that, but yeah, it was just very, very funny. And at the time it wasn't funny. I think at the time we were really stressed. Like, we were girls living on our own in a house at uni. This guy had obviously come into the kitchen. We were all obviously far too drunk to even realise what we were doing and acting so stupid. So at the time it wasn't like hysterical. It's only as the years have gone on that I can look back on the story and think all of us were fine. None of our stuff was stolen or damaged. So it just kind of makes for a bit of a funny story, but it is a bit crazy. I think my friend did tell our like landlord and our like people that ran our house, but there was never like a formal police complaint made or anything like that, or statements or anything, because the guy didn't steal anything at the end of the day. We were stupid, we left the door open. So we kind of learned our lessons from then on, and we were very, very lucky and didn't really have any other experiences like that, because if I was that guy, I probably would have come back and targeted that house. We did have our door tampered with because our landlord had told us that someone had tried to break in the front door, but we had like a really good locking system, so it was fine. And we did all lock our doors individually, so we were fine. But I just remember this story so vividly, and it's just one I'll never forget. I mean, bless my friend, she's trying to like defend us and like attack this man that's stealing our stuff, and she ends up hitting me on the head. She's like my best friend, so we laugh about it so much now because it's just hysterical. But yeah, I thought I would kind of tell you guys the story of how we were broken into, yet nothing was stolen. It was such a random one, and obviously not that frightening. I know some people have some really scary and frightening stories. This one wasn't. It was definitely just more of a laugh. But yeah, if you are a uni student, learn from my mistakes and please be careful with your stuff, because like I said at the beginning of this video, I know people that ended up far worse off. Again, one of my really good friends who actually lived with me in second year, and then she lived with different girls in third year, their house was broken into and a lot of the girls had their laptops stolen. So it kind of, you just kind of hear about it all the time when you're at uni, which is ridiculous and crazy, but I guess it kind of becomes a little bit of an easy target. So yeah, that's one of my uni stories. I have a lot of university stories, especially from second year, but some of which I don't think should be online because they're not kind of like my stories, they're other people's. But yeah, this was my story, me and my friend. it was all a laugh in the end and everything's all good, but I thought you guys might like to hear about the time that we were broken into. Do drop me a comment below, let me know if you've obviously ever experienced anything similar, whether it was kind of like a jokey experience or if it was something much more sinister maybe. And also let me know if you want me to carry on doing these story times. I actually find them kind of fun to just sit down and chat with you and tell you a few funny, crazy stories. So definitely let me know in the comments section below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you all in my next video. Bye guys.